Let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Tommy Doyle, who writes, "Hey, John, did you hear that San Diego Comic-Con got canceled this year? What are your thoughts on this? And will we still be able to get the trailer straight up on YouTube without a presentation? Thanks, and keep up the filthy." All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, this news broke on Friday. This is our first John Campea Show since that happened. I addressed this a little bit on Open Mic on the weekend, but I thought Rob and I should talk about it here. So for those of you who did not hear the news, unsurprisingly, Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest pop cultural event in the world, has for the first time in a half century been canceled. Now, about a month ago, I thought there was still a chance, unlikely as it was. I still thought there was a chance that perhaps Comic-Con could still happen. I mean, because it was still X number of months away. We'll see how things unfold. Maybe the government will open it back up, blah, blah. There's a chance, maybe unlikely, but a chance. But as days rolled into weeks and the situation didn't improve enough, I think it became clear that in July, while we might be in a place in July where we're ready to go into a movie theater with maybe 80 other people and said, I didn't think there was any chance that come July, we would be ready to cram shoulder to shoulder with 180,000 other people for over a 4-day period. I just didn't know that was going to be feasible. And from a logistical point of view, I didn't know that there was really going to be enough time to kind of pull everything together once they knew that they were going to be able to do it. And Rob, I'll tell you what, to me, it's really disappointing. I get it. I understand it. And I agree with it. I do. I agree with the cancellation of Comic-Con at this point. I do. I'm in full agreement. But just because you agree with something and you concur doesn't mean you don't feel crappy about it. And I feel really crappy about this. I'm very saddened and disappointed with the cancellation of Comic-Con, but not necessarily for the reasons that you might think. For me, Comic-Con, listen, it's not about Hall H, because I've maybe stepped foot once in Hall H in the last, I've stepped foot twice in Hall H over the last 10 years. Once was to be the moderator for a panel in Hall H. That's why I was in there. And another time, I just wanted to slip in to watch a presentation on something because it was something that I was involved in. That was it. I never go to Hall H, so I don't care about Hall H. Stupid thing about Comic-Con. Hall H is the most popular thing, but they only have a facility that can literally only hold less than 4% of the people that go to Comic-Con in Hall H, but that's another discussion for another frickin' time. That being said, the reason I look forward to going to Comic-Con every year, and I've mentioned this before, is not for Hall H or the panels or presentations, because guess what? I can sit at home and find out on my Twitter feed 3 seconds after something is announced at Comic-Con, I'll know about it too. I don't need to be in Hall H to know about it. The reason I like going to Comic-Con is, Rob, I've said this before and I will say it always. There is something spiritually good for the soul,
right?
about being in a town, in a world filled with as much negativity as we have, about being in a town where you have 150 to 200,000 other fans all together, all smiling, all happy, and all having a good time. Where people high-fiving other strangers because they love their cosplay, people expressing their inner fandom that they can't normally do any other time of the year wherever it is that they live, people being able to turn to one another and cheer together with a complete stranger. When you're walking up and down the streets, everybody's smiling and giggling and having fun because they have been planning for 6 months, 8 months, a year, maybe 2 or 3 years, saving up and planning, trying to win a lottery and get a frickin' hotel room, whatever, and now they're there and they're living it and they're having the time of their lives. And I'll tell you what, there is something good for the soul about immersing yourself in an environment like that for 3 or 4 days. Just something magnificent about it that I absolutely love. But Rob, for me, it even goes beyond that. I think Comic-Con is incredibly important for pop culture. specifically pop culture fandom. Not because of Hall H again, Rob, and I think you might be able to relate with me on this, but particularly in a fandom today that can be so toxic and that can be so negative and all that kind of stuff. When Comic-Con comes, Rob, tell me if you felt this too, like in the midst of the DCEU being really divisive and, you know, the fandom became a very divided, angry place. Comic-Con then hit, a great new DCEU trailer hit, and, you know, it just, this big wave of energy and enthusiasm and happiness, and it transcended San Diego because that positivity and energy that overflowed out from San Diego online, and it was just a big injection of positive hype and energy into the fandom that I think did a lot of good for it. It's like getting your annual flu shot. It holds you over for a while. And I just think that Comic-Con does something for the fandom of the world. It's just this big injection of hype and excitement and positivity and reminds us all again that first and foremost, we're fans. And then in the midst of all the Star Wars, you know, divisiveness and blah, 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 Comic-Con came. And for a while, it was just that big injection of positivity. And so for me on a personal level, I'm really sad that we're not going to get Comic-Con because I'm not going to get those few days that are really good for the soul, that's really rejuvenating and energizing and just a good, you know, existential experience, if you will. But also I think it's really unfortunate for the fandom and the pop culture as a whole, even for those who don't go, because I think the fandom needs that positive injection every once in a while. And we're not going to get it this year. Again, I agree with the decision. I understand the decision. They're doing what they need to do. But it doesn't mean I can't feel crappy about it. And I'll tell you what, Rob, I feel pretty crappy about it. But anyway, Rob, you've been going to Comic-Con longer than me. This is going to be the first time in forever that we're not going to have a Comic-Con, and longer since I've been alive. Your thoughts on them closing down Comic-Con? Right move, wrong move, and what do you see as the repercussions?
Well, first of all, well put. I mean, everything you said about Comic-Con. This would have been my 32nd Comic-Con.
Wow.
And when I moved to Los Angeles to go to college 32 years ago, 1988, I went to Comic-Con. You know, it was one of those things I'd always wanted to go. I drove down by myself, you know, because I didn't know anybody who wanted to go in LA. I hadn't even started school yet. And the thing about Comic-Con to me is, like you said, it was the yearly infusion of my desire to want to continue to create things. You know, you go down to Comic-Con, and Comic-Con, it was nothing like it is when I first went down there. Nothing. It was in a different venue. It wasn't at the convention center yet. But how it's become, it's also fueled my professional life. I mean, I met people all the way back in 94 that I went on and made movies with. And I've had lasting relationships that began at Comic-Con that continue to this day, that have extended into the professional realm. And like you said, Comic-Con is just one big joy bubble, you know, where you
bubble.
You walk down the street and you see people you haven't seen in a year or two, and then it's so random. You never know you're going to wind up at a party talking to whomever. You know, you just don't know. And there's been so many great adventures I've had at Comic-Con, and what it does is it re-energizes you, especially your creativity. Anybody that works in the industry, or like what we do and come on and be pundits here, what you get at Comic-Con in 5 days, if you go to preview night, you can surf that wave for the rest of the year. And especially if you make relationships, and you know, you never know what's going to happen. Now, I think they had no choice but to cancel it this year. We don't know. The social distancing is done well in terms of look, it's kept the curve way lower and then the initial projections, because people, especially the governors that took action early, like our own mayor and our own governor here in California, we were one of the first people to adapt stay-at-home orders. Ours are still going on until May 15th. They might be longer, they might not, depending on what happens. But I don't think you can allow. We already know, John. You go to Comic-Con, you come back with con crud. I mean, it's not like we can't say that. And I mean this with all the love and respect in the world. You know, all of us genre fans, we're not exactly, you know, we're not the most hygienic people. I mean, you and I are. We take showers every day. I wear cologne, you know, but it's hot and sweaty and exciting and fantastic, and I love it. but it's not exactly the place where you think, wow, this is the most sterile environment I've ever been in. And, you know, you're going to bars, you're eating, you're shaking hands, you're hugging people. I mean, if there's one place where a rampant viral outbreak could happen, it's Comic-Con. So they really didn't have a choice. Now, I'm not saying it would have gone total Andromeda strain and it would have wiped out a whole town, but, you know, it's probably for the best. Why even? It's kids. It's families. Yeah. Now you've got 4 generations. You've got kids, parents, older brothers and sisters, grandparents going to Comic-Con. So I think, you know.
And here's the worst part, dude. Here's the worst part. It's people from all over North America and the world coming there into this little petri dish. Yep. And then they all take it back with them to wherever it is they're from. So, it is what it is. I'm sorry, I cut you off there. What were you saying?
No. I mean, I was just saying it's now multi-generational. Like when I started going to Comic-Con, you know, it was like lonely dudes in rooms flipping through long boxes of comics. I'm making a joke. I don't mean to be disparaging, but it's not what it is now. Now it's the whole world. It's boys, it's girls, it's moms, it's dads, it's grandma and grandpa, it's everybody. And everybody goes. Comic-Con, like everything else I talk about, there's a post-geek singularity. When I went to Comic-Con, that singularity hadn't happened yet, and now we're all geeks. We're all nerds. We all love this stuff. That's why Endgame is the highest grossing movie of all time. And everybody goes, and it would be a shame that Comic-Con was ever tainted by something like this. So they didn't have a choice, man. They didn't have a choice. And we're going to have to suck it up. But maybe I'll go through my own comic book collection this year that I haven't gone through in like 30 years and finally arrange it.
Well, that's why this year we're going to have CampeaCon 2020. It's going to be the biggest pop culture event in the world. I've already put out the word to movie studios. Just give me $50,000 and I'll play a 2-minute trailer of yours during CampeaCon 2020 to fill it all in. Anyway, guys, question is, what do you think about this? Do you understand them having to shut down Comic-Con? Do you wish maybe they would have just held out a little longer to see if things cleared up? What is it to you? What does Comic-Con mean to you and stuff like that? Whether you go to it or somebody who doesn't go, what does it mean to you? Anyway, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.